beginning here in game number 1 of our day number 2 at the North America Open, presented by Zenith Leagues and trovo.live. I got it all out there. My name is TJ, joined by Daniel, Dizu, Akuta, as we head towards game number 1, which will be, fun fact, Team Vague versus Brawl Stars Pros. There is exactly one ban here. It is Katarina. We might be struggling to work out how this fancy new website works.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's working reasonably well so far. Before we kind of struggle with the website, I want to talk about where we are in the bracket right now. So yesterday we had the two first rounds of the main bracket, right? The round of 16 and the round of 8. Now we're moving down to the lower bracket. However, one of the teams forfeit. So we're not, in fact, in the losers bracket round 1. We're actually in losers bracket round 2. So we're going to do a losers bracket round 2, followed by another losers bracket round 2. We're not going to go to the next round because the first match that we're doing right now is actually round 2 because, like I said earlier, a team forfeit.
Okay, we've got our second ban, so I think we're in business now. 3 bans per team. We're going. This is going to be the Akali and Katarina both banned down. And these are two kind of the same character, mid lane assassins. I think Katarina is the most powerful of them. Akali can be flexed a bit more, but I think she's, second tier in terms of just pure attack damage, assassination power. But both of them absolutely should be removed.
I think that Akali has been primarily played in the solo lane, though, as of late.
As of late, yes.
Yeah. So it's a bit different here. I do think Katarina is the more priority ban, just because, like we mentioned yesterday, like we saw yesterday, I should say, she can basically win a team fight by herself. Anyone who can win a team fight by themselves is something that you need to be really careful of. Either you have to draft around it, or you have to just ban it outright.
So they've been banned out. You know, in PC League of Legends, there's a timer on each phase of the draft. And I'm starting to realize why, Daniel.
Yeah, even if the bans come in the same time frame, just us as spectators, it's like, when's the next ban? Just the expectation.
Yeah!
All right, Alice. You know, I think what you should do, TJ, is just do your production magic and put a fake timer on the on the screen.
I can do a clock counting up. Is that good?
It's like, why are we losing time here?
Oh my god, no, I have a great idea. Hold up. Just keep talking while I work through this.
Okay, well, Alistar and Braum are very standard bans. You know, if you don't know who else to ban, you just ban out the two big, beefy, very strong supports. We saw a game yesterday where Alistar nearly won the game by himself. Obviously, he can't win by himself, but he set up so many good team fights in a certain situation against Tribe Gaming for Brawl Stars. So he was very, very powerful yesterday. Braum doesn't have quite the same amount of CC as Alistar, well, provided you don't let him get close to auto attack you, so he procs passive. But he doesn't have the same amount of CC, but he has a crazy amount of defense, and it'd be certainly very annoying to get around a Braum with his big shield up. Probably the most frustrating champion to play against when you're trying to get some damage in as a damage dealer. When you see that big shield up, and you're like, dang it, I can't. He's just always there with a stupid shield. Anyway,
we follow it up. Gragas banned out as well. I think there's a clear bias being shown here.
Wait, and you need to enlighten me. What is this bias?
These beefy supports being removed from the game. Obviously, the Gragas can be played in multiple lanes, but he's very popular on the NA pool right now as a support.
Yeah. I think more than anything, the Gragas ban just kind of gives, or it takes away that flexibility from the opposing team in their draft. And we know that, Brawl Stars pros, they come in from Brawl Stars, they're probably going to be able to play a wide variety of champions just because they're mechanically very solid. So just taking away that flexibility of having the Gragas go in any type of situation and kind of move things around makes the draft a little bit easier to manage.
We do get rid of a Shyvana jungle Which is interesting to me, because I don't think... There was definitely a period where Shyvana was pick banned, but I kind of felt like we'd moved past that. Do you agree?
Yeah, Shyvana has always confused me. I've seen games where Shyvana gets picked, the team rolls the other team, and then I look in chat and they're like, "Why didn't you ban Shyvana?" And I'm like, "Really? Is she all that strong?" And then a couple games later, she's not even touched in the draft, and it's all Lee Sin and Vi again, and I'm like, "Where did Shyvana go?" Shyvana, it seems like people's opinion are all over the place, so I'm not surprised to see her just kind of, what do we ban here? I don't know, Shyvana, I guess, and then you just throw it out there.
I think Shyvana is really, really good into team fights. If you're ever in a situation where you need someone to jump into a close-range team fight and just annihilate an entire team, then you're in business with Shyvana, Kennen, that kind of comp. But that hasn't been something we've seen recently. That was very popular at the beginning of Wild Rift, and it feels like we've shifted a bit more tactical, a little bit more towards lane phase right now. Case in point, we get a Corki Kai'Sa in our first rotation.
Yeah, you can kind of see the thinking here from Brawl Stars pros, right? They banned the Shyvana, who has a very simple / easy engage, right? She has one of the more... If you're ever wondering how to engage the opposing team, a really easy way is to just go, okay, Shyvana, use your ult. It's very long. It's a very long range ult. It's good damage, it's good CC there. And all of a sudden you're in business, right? And everyone just follows in, jumps in, and everyone's just dead on the other team. Now, what do they pick instead of that? They go for the Wukong, who also has a very similar setup, right? He just pops his third ability, gets in on the opposing team, pops his ult, or I guess you pop your 2 first to get the extra cycling up. But yeah, you pop your 3, you pop your 2, you pop your ult. Everyone's up in the air. Your entire team's like, all right, they're up in the air. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then the entire opposing team missed it. So very similar concept here, trying to get in on the opposing team with a very nice, simple engage that your team could follow up on. And now you have the Wukong, now you've banned out the Shyvana so that the opposing team doesn't have a great engage, and you're feeling like you're in business.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back on our Corki discussion. Maybe not to get too far into it, because I know that's a hot button issue between the two of us, Daniel. But this Corki, it bears reminding, could be played either as a AD carry or a mid liner right now.
Yeah, I like that you're at least giving up that position. Like, it could go in either lane.
Well, I
I'm
know
not gonna
that
tell
they
you
might
which lane
make
I
a mistake,
prefer.
Daniel. They might play Corki as an AD carry, and I'm not supporting that. I think it's a mistake. It's actually not, as I'm not actually that hard on it. I think Corki as an AD carry works right now. I simply think it's less optimal than Corki mid, but it certainly works.
I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm fine with Corki mid, but I prefer him ADC. So what can you do?
Oh, yeah! I am thriving right now, Daniel, as the AD carry gets locked in for Team Vague. It will be an Ezreal on the bottom side of the map. And they should have another pick this cycle, unless I'm mistaken.
No, yeah, it's going to be another pick. I'm going to laugh if they just put Ezreal mid and stick Corki in the bottom. It's not the weirdest thing you've ever seen.
I'd be looking for a support here. Because you don't want to give away what you're pairing with the... But once you draft the Ezreal, there are obviously picks that are better for the Ezreal, so you ought to be picking a support before they can counter-draft it. Also, you don't want to be picking a different lane right now into red side, being able to have the next 2 picks. They're going to be able to counter-draft if you pull a top or mid laner out here. The only reason
like support
to exclude that is if you wanted to counter-match into the jungle, which is indeed what we get.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate your point there for the support thing. It's not only safe, but it also doesn't give away the rest of your draft, right? So it's safe on 2 fronts, because you get your support to pair with Ezreal, sorry, and you don't allow the opponent to counterpick for the support, and on top of that, you don't give away what the rest of your draft looks like. So now, basically, on the side of Team Vague, they're giving away 4 spots already, because you know what if you're on Team Brawl Stars, you kind of know what support they're going to pair with Ezreal. Obviously, they can kind of throw a curveball at you, but for the most part, they've given away 4 of their spots. Now, the trade-off here is that they have Are you doing the count up timer?
I'm
The
just-
trade-off here.
Just for us. I want to know.
Okay. How long it's taking? Yeah. But the trade-off here is that they have Lee Sin, who is one of the better early game junglers in the game, and as we all know, with Wild Rift, I think even more so than PC version, is that the game can snowball right from the get-go, and having Lee Sin provide that snowball in your favor is a huge deal.
Ooh. Lux presumably support, could be pulled mid always, but presumably support. Alongside the Kai'Sa will indicate the Brawl Stars pros are going for this lighter weight draft. Trying to move that fast throughout the map, rely on their overwhelming damage and ability to lock down individual targets to carry them through that.
Oh.
And I really like this Twisted Fate pick into a composition with those ideals. It adds more CC, it adds more burst damage, it adds more to their skirmishing potential.
Yeah, this is... Okay, I'll talk about what you said just there, the skirmishing potential, because they have a ridiculous amount of lockdown, and in particular, long-range lockdown, right? You have a 1.25 second stun with that buff a couple of patches ago here with Twisted Fate, and then you have a really long route as well coming out from the Lux. So if ever Lux or Twisted Fate are in the same area, you could have opposing champions get locked down for 2+ seconds, which is, in 2+ seconds in this game is absolute death. And so you're going for that skirmish capability. Oh no, we're not going to talk about this champion first. Let me finish my point, TJ. I know you want to jump in there. Okay, but the final thing I want to say is there is an extreme amount of lockdown, especially from a long range here for Russell's pros. So it's actually pretty decent for their team fight as well. Because once you get the Cyclone coming out from Wukong, all of a sudden there's, a couple of stuns coming out from the backline and a huge blow-up potential. So this is kind of like a stealth wombo combo situation as well. But I'm going to let you have this next pick in your hands.
We got Leona! Woo! I was playing Leona today. Daniel, she's such a good character, I literally don't know why people aren't playing her. She's so good.
Okay, so before we had a soft disagreement on Corki, whether, he's like, mid ADC, we're on opposite ends of the spectrum here. I have no faith in Leona at all.
Have you played Leona?
Terrible champion. Yes, on ARAM.
Okay, well, that's not really... So, Leona doesn't do damage. That's not her thing. When she does do damage, it's going to be from her second ability, the Exploding Shield. So, it's not great. But what she does do that literally no other character can compare to in terms of the extent of it is she just has a truly wild amount of pure CC. You can just stack damage for days and there is not a whole lot anyone can do about it because they will be permanently locked down. By the time she completes her first rotation, stun, Zenith Blade ultimate, her stun is back up. So she is a whole 2 seconds of lockdown by herself. And that's very important into characters like Darius, who you need to lock down for extended periods of time. But it's also equally important to have those instant application stuns into characters like Lux, Twisted Fate, Kai'Sa, whom if you stun them up once, they're basically dead.
Yeah, I think like you tend to do a lot of times, CJ, is you look at the best case scenario for champions. Like if you get this and then this and then this, they're so screwed. But then a lot of times it's really hard to pull that off, especially because one of her stuns is basically her auto attack, and I just hate having an auto attack stun because you have to actually get there in the first place.
I don't know. Seems pretty easy to me. I never have trouble doing it.
I forgot we're talking to the guy who said that he can steal the Baron and kill the entire opposing team with a Braum. So I forgot we're talking to the support god.
No, Leona's long been one of my favorite characters in League of Legends. I think that the ease of execution on her stuns is her strength, and we will see her in competitive play going forward. If you're curious, that draft in total took about 10 minutes.
How long do drafts normally take? I guess they usually get around... No, it doesn't take 2 minutes. People get like 45 seconds per pick.
Yeah, but nobody uses them.
Yeah, they do.
No,
they do
they
all the time.
don't.
People are, of course they do.
We have
It's
completed.
only every 2 minutes when it's like a remake, and they're like, okay, go, 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 go.
We've completed our draft, Daniel. How do you feel about the finished composition?
You know, one side has Leona and the other, so I'm going with her side without Leo. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like it's a bunch of disjointed champions on the side of Vague. Obviously, they have a lot of pick potential, which is nice. I mean, they have pick potential on both sides. I will say that. But I feel like it's a bit more cohesive on the side of Barcel's Pros because they have the pick potential, but they also have the team fight potential. I feel like on the side of Team Vague, it's going to be a lot of solo acting here, right? Again, each solo member of their team kind of can they perform in a situation that's more chaotic. I think they want more chaotic situations. You know, Leona providing these random stuns, Lee Sin jumping all over the place, Ezreal jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to be looking for.
Well, I think what I'm worried about for the Brawl Stars pros is it does feel like Vague have kind of called their bluff with regards to playing a very specific skirmish comp style, right? Just to take a look at the draft one more time, you can see that the idea for Brawl Stars pros is to have that Darius TPing across the map, to have the global presence from the Lux ult, and just constantly be threatening every lane. But Vague have a ton of little pods within their team that can play each individual lane and each individual skirmish very successfully. Leona, like I said, is an entire 2 people stuns onto herself. So I think I side with Vague a bit here. Because all of their carries, the Camille, the Lee Sin, the Ezreal, the Corki, all have disengaged tools, and then their front line is the most CC built engage in the game. So I think I like Team Vague's draft a bit more here.
Yeah, well, we can talk about how, you know, each side matches up with each skirmish and with each, you know, team fight and what have you. But I think the biggest thing here is, you know, or I should say, a lot of times we talk about the CJ and then everything goes down the toilet after the first couple minutes of the game. And so I really think what's going to determine this game is how well Morn is going to play on this Lee Sin, right? Like, how is he going to get the early kills or not? And that's going to determine most of the game.
Yeah. I do think the early presence of Lee Sin is always something you absolutely have to pay attention to when it comes to these games, because Lee Sin, unlike almost every other jungler in League of Legends, shows up ready to fight. He's ready to go, Daniel.
Yeah, and because he's ready to go right from the get-go, we might actually see an invade here. It's very typical of a Lee Sin to just get on the opposing jungle and force them out of it. Say, this is mine. Particularly against a Wukong, who really needs the blue buff. I think outside of Olaf, I think Wukong is the one who's most reliant on that blue buff to get himself going. Oh,
dear.
4-man, excuse me.
Horde already in trouble. yikezgg will focus him down, but there's the chase. Software
Corey.
B going real aggressive on that Leona, forced to flash away after dropping Corey GG down to a sliver of HP. And that is your early game fight. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, Software B actually kind of providing an early glimpse into what Leona can do here. Really getting on top of Corey by himself. So
you can Zenith blade through entire teams, and it works very, very well.
My issue with Zenith blading through the entire team means you're in amongst the entire opposing team. So,
right. But the thing is, like... I will go to bat for Leona here. I'm going to frame this as me setting Leona up. But really, it's just me being a big Leona fan. If you have your cooldowns right, you should be maxing your second ability, the AoE shield. And you should be able pretty quickly to survive that. Especially because your other cooldowns allow you to perma-stun at least one member. So the way Leona play works this game is Software B is trying to get onto Corey, most likely as the biggest damage threat, and just full stun cycle Corey, take them out of the fight as effectively as killing them, whilst the rest of the team fight is won. Sorry, we cut away thanks to the automated machine there, as Corey was able to stand strong. That Zenith blade not quite landing onto him, so instead it was OG that took the focus and turned it quite easy.
Yeah, for those of you who are still new to Leona, and I know she's been out for like a month or so, or maybe even more, But people don't play her because she's support. And when TJ refers to Zenith play, he's referring to the third ability, which can reach through members and actually pull herself towards the backside. So it's really a nice way to get in amongst the fight. And like TJ mentioned earlier, using the second ability to stay alive and all of that. I did want to talk about her ult. For a while, I thought she was basically an ult bot because her ult's one of the few kind of AoE stun that's ranged. Right, usually when you have an AoE stun, it's like yourself providing that stun, like a Wukong, for instance, right? But it's a long-range AoE stun, so that is one of the more appealing points of her kit, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you can use it as an engage tool. You'll often see it used as fight starter, but I like to hold on to it in my Leona play. Use Zenith Blade to fight start. Use your first ability to proc the stun. And then you drop at that point the ultimate on whoever you've stunned, and just extend that stun long enough that your auto attack stun, your first ability, will be back up by the time they're moving again.
Yep. I'm actually surprised that you do prioritize your 2 over your 3, because I believe that her third ability, the cooldown is reduced by a lot if you upgrade that.
Sometimes I'll throw a point in it if I'm really going, but generally for Leona, it's more important to have the ability to survive fights up than the ability to start them. If that makes sense. Mid lane dive for Morn doesn't work out. Mali able to find the gold card, hand it out. Stay safe in that lane with a ranged stun as Twisted Fate. One of the better defensive characters for that reason. Very hard to gag if they have the gold card available.
Yeah, it's just, especially when they set it up like that. He actually sets up the blue card there. I'm not really sure he needed any mana. Perhaps it was a misclick.
The other great thing about Twisted Fate is you get to play a little mini-game every time you want to stun somebody.
You like it? You know, I'm really bad at playing Twisted Fate because I always look down at what card's at, and I try to react in like real time, like, oh crap, it's yellow, go 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 go, instead of just looking at the champion himself, because it shows what it's going to rotate to next. Anyway, it's a problem of mine.
Software, what is this? Starts the fight over the wall. In the meantime, Roberts round the side. Good final spark will slow down the fight. Oh, and the Noxian Guillotine finds an improbably ranged first blood. This gets real bad for Team Vague as the Brawl Stars pros clean up this fight. Destiny does get procced. Mali with the chase will secure the final kill.
Oh, that was so beautiful. The ult coming out here from Mali on the Twisted Face, like, I'm not done with you yet. Goes in, gets the stun, gets the kill. Very, very nicely done. This is what I was referring to earlier, by the way. They have so much CC. I mean, you're talking about Leona on the side of Vague here, but Brawl Stars pros have like CC up the wazoo, especially from long range there. And you saw the fight start out with the beautiful root from OG, gets the ultimate there as well, and it was just lights out there for Vague after that.
I mean, it was a very strange fight start because Software B starts it by diving over the wall from the blast cone and just dropping an ult with no follow-up.
Yeah.
You can try and steal the objective with the ult, that works. But it's...
But not without your team.
I mean, you can just throw it onto the objective. It does a decent amount of damage. But the success rate is very high.
But you're wasting your ult. You're wasting your ult.
That's pretty short. You can do it.
It's short-ish,
but it's irrelevant because that's not what he did. That's not what they did. They threw the ultimate at the team itself. Which...
Right. I think he was expecting his team to go with him, which means that's something. It seemed like pretty bad communication. Oh, ooh, that's Morn.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, the ult!
From across the map. OG on the opposite side of the map lands the final spark to confirm the kill, and you are already seeing the promise of that double global setup. You throw a Galio in here, and I really like this composition. The ability to travel across the map like that, provide damage threats across the map like that, really viable in League of Legends, especially viable in Wild Rift.
In TJ's mind, the ideal composition is like Galio, Pantheon, Lux,
Yup.
Twisted Fate.
100%. Well, no,
Israel.
okay. It's not the ideal composition, but it is an organized composition around the theory that you can win the skirmishing early game with those ultimates. And I would love to see that. Somebody do that for me.
You're just like, someone's like literally across the map, and then like everyone, like 3 members go in, Pantheon, Gallia, and Twisted Fate go in, and they all jump on top of them, and then you see like 2 global ults coming out from Lux and Ezreal. It's like, what? I was not even close to you.
White Monk in trouble as Corey re-engages with the killer instinct. Software B can't slow down the fight and now is in trouble. Light Binding will find the kill. Hello, Ghost. Your team is already dead.
I think people really... Oh, hello. Molly! Oh my goodness, he's dead. Yep. It's like, no, this is my jungle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this game just feels like it has been outfought by the Brawl Stars pros. They're doing a very good job mechanically in these fights.
This is what's scary about their team. Once they get ahead, it's really hard to hold the mech anymore because they have so much CC that you can't escape. You can't even try to poke in because you're just going to get blasted like that. He was behind his turret. He was behind his turret and he just got destroyed.
Corey zoned back. Solar Flare will drop. The Leona ultimate stalling out that fight and indeed dropping arrows to half HP.
The one thing I do like about this, though, is that they have a lot of CC, but they have enough damage as well, right? A lot of teams, sometimes they'll go overboard on one concept, but with Corey providing the damage in the backline, they're always going to have that late game potential, even if this potentially falls apart. I mean, I don't see them falling behind with this 11k gold lead, right? But we've seen a lot, especially even in like AOV, where teams will just go for like, you know, all CC all the time, and then if it doesn't work or the team starts coming back, they don't really have enough damage to finish off fights. But I don't think that's an issue here.
Ghost in trouble. Rift Herald did get summoned in the meantime against this top turret. Looks like it'll take that turret successfully. Software B backing out here. Mord in the area as well. Solar Flare to start the fight. Zenith Blade in. True shot. It's a good combo. Mord, where are you? It was too early. Nobody was there to back him up. Oh! The Valkyrie steals away the dragon. Ghost manages to steal it away and find the kill immediately after. A miraculous escape, and Mord inside the dragon pit also gets away.
Oh, but in all that time, the inhibitor turret does go down. Robert, just showing what he's made of. I don't know if he can chase this.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. Robert finds the turn and the guillotine. Here comes the stun cycle. Software B doesn't have the ultimate to bring to bear, though, and that means it is a triple kill.
Oh my goodness. You know, I've always thought of Darius as like the Katarina of the solo lane, because once you get a kill, all of a sudden everyone's in trouble. You have max stacks on your passive, your ult's still back up, things start becoming a little bit dicey for the opponents.
Oh dear.
Oh no. Wow, a surrender. That just happened. Victory. I would like to see them play it out, but I can see the reasoning as well. They're not like sanctioned for like surrendering.
I don't
in a tournament,
know.
Right?